Sean, WSRT Fitness. If this is your first time here, please remember subscribe, click the bell and select all for notifications. Thank you so much for watching and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about something that I know is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable, and that's childhood eating disorders. The reason why we're going to talk about that today is because I found this article from The Independent this morning while scrolling through my feeds, and it chronicles a boy whose diet has been so bad for so long that he has gone blind and deaf because of it. Now, the boy is not quoted in this article, and no names are given. The mother is quoted, but her name is not given either, and that's okay. I don't know whether or not I would want to be quoted if any of my 7 children had an eating disorder or had a mental issue that a newspaper was or that a internet website was doing a story on. Anyway, so in this article it talks about how the boy just started being a very picky eater, would only eat from a very small selection of foods. Now, he has since been diagnosed with an eating disorder, ARFID. So with ARFID, there is no not necessarily any body image issue. It's not necessarily directly correlated to anorexia or bulimia. Sometimes it's a texture issue. Now, the reason why this article kind of spoke to me is because as I was doing a little bit of research and trying to figure out the best way to approach it, it instantly reminded me of my oldest son, Nicholas, who's 13 years old, who is on the autism spectrum, and because of that has sensory and texture issues as part of his disability. And then when I got to the National Eating Disorders Association website, and it was mentioning that people who are autistic or people with ADHD are more likely to have these issues, it kind of really struck home. So I wanted to share this story with you guys. And I think it's really important that we talk about situations like this, and where my issue with it lies is the fact that as parents, we need to teach our kids to have a better relationship with food. Now, can we force the best foods or certain foods that we think are the best down our kids' throats? To a certain extent, but not completely. However, it is our job as parents to set our kids up to have the brightest future for their lives. And to do that, and to do that, I think educating them on how to properly sustain a healthy body and a healthy mind in this case, I think that's very, very important. And so in relations to my son, I'm going to get to my son's story in a second. Where my issue really lies is that with this mother, if the kid was super picky for a couple of days, it is what it is. A couple of weeks, But once this starts getting to a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year of eating sausages and potato chips, first of all, where's the kid getting the sausages and potato chips? When it started in primary school, the kid doesn't have a job. He needs somebody to buy it for him. Enter mom. At some point, we need to take the blame for things. At some point, we need to take responsibility. It is not all this kid's fault. Now, as he got older, it becomes more and more his fault. But when he's in primary school, when he's a very young child, it falls a lot on the mother just letting him have this. Now, I know in a lot of cases it's easier said than done. Like I said, having a child on the autism spectrum, there are a lot of challenges, and getting him to work with those texture issues, with those sensory issues, trying to get around them, trying to get past them and through them are not easy, which is why I'm going to share this story. So when my son came to live with me, I have custody of my oldest son. I'm not with his mother, and let's just say there's there's a reason why I have custody of him. And when he came to live with me, he was only eating a handful of very selective foods, none of which were nutritious. And even though at the time I was obese, I still knew very well what a healthy diet was. And so For the first couple of days, I tried to get him to eat other foods, where I would put multiple foods on the plate, and it just wasn't working. I would get him to eat whatever the preferred food on the plate was. He would eat just that and nothing else. And for a couple of days, I just struggled and I couldn't figure out. So finally, I got the idea. My son loved meat. The texture of meat didn't matter what kind. Chicken, beef, anything, doesn't matter. Pork, whatever. He loved it all. So one thing that he weirdly loved was a particular venison that I made. And I had more venison. He recognized it by smell. He recognized it by sight. He was a very, very smart boy. Even at 3 years old, even with the delays, the things that he recognized, the things that he realized, the connections he made were amazing. So I decided to make the venison one night. It was a venison steak with red wine and chocolate sauce. It's actually a Gordon Ramsay recipe, and I'm just a damn good cook copying Gordon Ramsay. Anyway, so before giving him the venison, I decided to give him a salad because it was pretty much anything with a texture other than meat, he wouldn't eat it. And even though venison is a very nutritious, very healthy meat, he needs to eat other foods as well. So what I did was I made him a salad. I put the salad in front of him, and I basically told him that he had to eat that. And what I did was I put a small plate of venison cut up just the way that I normally would, and I put it in the middle of the table out of his reach. And so he's reaching from his high chair, very upset. And I kept communicating to him, no, you eat this first, pointing to the salad. And it took a little while, but eventually he got the point, and he ate the salad. And the funniest thing happened. By the time he ate the salad, he wanted more of it. So because of his speech delays, he would sign for more. As soon as he finished eating the salad, he's asking for more. So I gave him a second salad, which he ate. At that point, I did give him the venison, which he consumed very quickly because he loves venison. So I wasn't not feeding him, and there's not a whole lot of calories in salad, and he was 3, they weren't big portions anyway. However, after that, it became easier and easier to get him to eat more foods. And I had to introduce one at a time, and that's the way I had to do it, where that's the only thing that I put on the plate, and I waited for him to eat it, and then I gave him the preferred items. Now, that worked for my son. I'm not a therapist, however, but there are therapists that work with this. There are experts. There are professionals. And where I have an issue with what this woman has done is she let her son go on for over a decade of eating shit, just complete shit. And now her son is blind and deaf. According to the article, doctors have stated that the damage done is irreversible. People, we need to take a look at what we're doing to our children. Whether we're overfeeding them and they're becoming morbidly obese as a child, or whether we're underfeeding them because we're afraid of all processed bullshit that's out there, or if we're just letting the kids get away with eating shitty foods. It's one thing to want to spoil your kids, give them some treats, want your kids to be happy. That's great. I want my kids to be very happy, but I also want them to be set up and be educated to live a long, happy, healthy life. So if you're out there and you're struggling with your kids, find another way around. Talk to your kids. I mean, that's one thing that seems to get lost on people. Take some time to talk to your kids and figure out where they're coming from. Ask them questions. Because even if you can't give in to a 5-year-old's wish to eat donuts for dinner every day or cake for lunch or whatever, even though you really can't give in to those things, at least not in a healthy way, talk to them, understand where they're coming from, so that way you can adjust and educate them and give them a better path forward and give yourself a little bit less stress going forward. So that way you never have to end up like this woman wondering why your child went blind and deaf. So I'd love everybody's comments down below. If you followed this video all the way to the end, I would really like to know your opinion. So comment on what that is. And besides that, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't yet. Click the bell and select all for notifications. You can follow me on Instagram at WSRT Fitness. And please join my Facebook group, WSRT Fitness. That's where I love to do lives. I do lives every morning when I go for my morning walk, despite the walking boot. And I also love to take viewer requests for future videos. So with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye.